Hi everyone, welcome to the 7th episode of Under Control. My name is Paul Bartlett, and today I'll talk with Maria Olshanskaya, a partner at Area Global from Tel Aviv. Area Global offers premium services for high-end clientele from all over the world. Private yachts, private jets, luxury car rental, they've got it all covered. They'll also go that extra mile and offer full cybersecurity solutions for their clients. Hey Maria, thank you for joining today.
Thank you for inviting me for the podcast, first of all.
Sure.
It's a pleasure for me. My name is Maria Olshanskaya. I'm an active partner in Area Global Corporation, a company that provides premium services such as rent of luxury cars, private jets, yachts, villas, apartments, and of course physical security. We've been working for more than 6 years, and I'm with this company for 2 years. And I'm kind of a public person, public representative for this very, very confidential and, let's say, closed community of the company itself and of our clients.
And then you're working on a global basis, so you're dealing with customers all around the world?
Yes, sure. We're dealing with the customers all around the world. And we have a network of suppliers of our premier services globally. And if there is a point on the world that we are not working, but the customer wants to have services provided there, we can do that too.
Mm-hmm. Good. And so let me just out of curiosity, how did you get started? I mean, how does people get or companies decide they're going to spin up and get started in this kind of business?
It was for the founders. It was really natural business project, because this is something they truly needed, the services that the company provides, and they couldn't find the level of quality and confidentiality and security and privacy as they wanted, and all in one place. It was just, like they say that entrepreneurs just take a problem and turn it into opportunity. So that's how it happened.
Wow. And how many of you now, I mean, just on the head count, how many people are working in the organization?
We have hundreds of suppliers that work with us on a regular basis. And of course, we have a managing team, which is about 100 people. All the team that organizes that services. Actually, I wanted to say that every day we are growing, but it's not exactly true. But because to become, for example, a driver that works with us, it takes quite a lot of time, and we don't accept any single person that just bought a Maybach or BMW and wants to work with us as a driver in this or that country or city, doesn't matter. And that's where our values of privacy and security and quality come into play. It doesn't happen that we have a rotation or like everyday growth of personnel or partners.
Understood. And I take it there was obviously you've got your own training programs around that as well, around the physical security part, offline, online security, whatever the type of problem that's being presented or challenge, you have to give plenty of in-house training.
I wouldn't call it training, because we will not work with somebody who comes from a, let's say, clean background and have an experience. So it's more like alignment with our values and with the way we work. For example, let's say drivers, when they work for us, they don't take their personal cell phones with them on the route, like all the day that they work with the client. And they have to understand that they cannot just turn and take pictures of the client and share it with all his friends because the celebrity is in town or something like that. So I wouldn't call it training, as I said, but yes, we do spend time checking, even doing the penetration tests, as you said, talking about cybersecurity. But for the real life, we do check all, like, how do our drivers, we have people who come with our client to those villas or to those apartments and help them kind of check in. So yes.
And just staying on to the point of security, because that's what you do, is the two lines you mentioned. There's offline physical security and online what you're doing with something more recent with cybersecurity. What's the biggest challenges that you faced with physical security of these VIP people?
With the physical security, I would call the biggest problem privacy, as I told you, and confidentiality. Because our clients, when they're going on their trips, either it's a business trip or vacation, they're searching for confidentiality and silence. We call it silence, with no distraction, with not having to deal with the things they do in their everyday life. So this is the biggest challenge that we face, because at the end of the day, everybody who provides the services, they are just human beings.
Yeah.
So that about physical security, talking about cyber security, there are really quite a few. So if you want, I can start naming them, start talking about them, or if you have other questions about the basis of the company, then I can answer those questions too.
I'm just thinking, because when I sit here, I think about okay, what does it actually take, to get somebody who's famous from A to B under the radar, okay, without being noticed. I mean, there's so much social media out there, and as you just mentioned earlier, everyone's got a camera on their mobile phones. Everyone likes to brag because we're always only human. So I can imagine inside of that, there are a lot of challenges that you need to be aware of.
Yes, but it's the responsibility of bodyguards and of drivers, not personally me, let's say. That's why we have the very high level professionals working for us. And for us as a company, the main thing how we can help that physical privacy happen is to do the digital privacy happen on the end where the order is placed, at the end where staff that works for our company organize that order, brings that order to life. And that's our biggest responsibility in this cyberspace.
So in fact, the two go hand in hand now, because
of course,
and so what did it look like before that? Before, I mean, when I say the era of technology, it's been around for a long time, but I mean, in a day when there was an encrypted email and vice versa, how was it possible to exchange information confidentially? Was it a struggle, or there was just another method that you were using?
I think just that situation when nothing was encrypted and people did not talk about cyber security. It was quite a long ago. And I think at those days when people did not think about that much and did not talk about that much, there were no so many threats in that area. I mean, I think they grow together and they go hand in hand. The more cyber attacks we have, the more damage they bring, the more people start to think about that. And actually, from what we see, even with our clients who are super protected on a physical security level and on a business cybersecurity level, they're still really quite far behind the cybersecurity of their personal space.
Yeah.
And that's why we as a company, we face that so many times, a person having cameras all over the house where he or she lives, and renting bulletproof cars and hiring bodyguards, and then just using the phone without, let's say, camera guard or microphone guard, or just sending his credit card picture in WhatsApp to his spouse or her spouse. And that was for us so vivid example of the new area we should step into and help these people. Also, it's hard to make in the cyberspace, also in the physical security space, but in the cyberspace, it's even harder to put the highest level of security together with convenience, because you don't want to have to use 100 passwords just to unlock your phone when it's ringing. But at the same time, you want to make sure that in case it gets in the wrong hands, nobody can break into it.
Yeah. And to that point, I mean, obviously with Trezor, I talk to a lot of customers about their own security. And the one thing that fascinates me a little bit about having this part is always on the human element. So trying to educate the users to think and work in a different way. Yeah, so if we can take email attachments, for example, everyone's just used to using an attachment in email, which can be intercepted. So is that also going to be the challenge that you see for you? Is changing the mindset of your customer base?
In some way, yes, but because they are, they understand that the more influential people they are, the more vulnerable they are to those cyber threats. Because we have seen the richest people in the world being attacked successfully, and we know the consequences of that. So I think for them, hardest thing in their mindset is to make it all convenient and as less time consuming for them as possible. Because these people, they just don't want to dive into all the details of the solutions that we offer them or the market offers them. It takes really, even our team, and we have people who are really professionals in the IT sphere, high tech, and it still takes weeks to find the best solutions in this area, and even to understand, because when you open, let's say, a web page of a company that provides cybersecurity solution, doesn't matter in which area exactly, sometimes it takes a lot of time even for professional to understand what level of security they are offering exactly. Take the example of a very famous, let's say, free mail and cloud storage provider that in their official commercial on the YouTube, they say that the level of the security they have is 128 or 256 bits. So 128 or 256, like, haven't you decided yet? You know what I mean? And from this point of view, our main challenge in the sphere of the mindset is to explain that yes, they will have to sacrifice a little bit of the convenience, the level of the convenience, but the benefits that they can get from that are just, they worth literally billions.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? Because with security, it's not always that you see the benefits; they're not tangible. Where the convenience is, when you only have to log in once and you've got access to multiple applications, it's there at your fingertips. If you had to log into each application with a password every time, that, as you say, that's an inconvenience. So I'm just thinking about, where is it that you found it, or you found a situation where there's an even balance in that? Because from what I see, is that you're not only dealing with, as you say, your client, you're also dealing with many staff that are working with your client as well. And they can have a social media application switched on with their location services, which might also give the game away, I assume. So you must have to have some protocols in place, right, to work with this.
You mean company-wise, or the protocols that we are offering? Yes, of course, we have a lot of protocols. I will not talk about all of them, but in general, I can tell you that we as a company, we understand that we don't have a chance for a mistake at all with our customers. We cannot tomorrow come to the television and say, oh, sorry, it was a huge hacker attack and we just lost your data. So therefore, it took us quite a lot of time to build this system behind how the company operates. And for example, I can tell you that the person who is the secretary, let's say, who is preparing who is organizing what the client needs, she or he doesn't know the names. And then the names are stored locally in the different place. And then between the employees, we are using numbers, like client numbers. And then the person who has access, who has password to enter that local storage of, let's say, names and numbers, doesn't have the two-factor access to the second factor authentication, which has separate person. So this is some of the insights about how we are keeping apart from, of course, using the best cyber solutions for ourselves. We don't use any free, email providers or hostings, none of our employees. But also there are some other protocols, as I described you, that stand behind the security.
Yeah, so it seems like you're just putting different layers between of who's got access to the different information, and you're using the numbers to cover up the identities of your customers. So
yes, these are just some of them. but really important.
Interesting. And where do you see it going in the future? I mean, is there anything exciting out there technology-wise that you're thinking that's going to benefit your line of business?
I think everything that makes our life, us as partners of the company, or founders of the partners, easier and better and safer, and something that makes the life of our clients easier and better is exciting already. And I think this is kind of, on one hand, this is something, this area, cybersecurity, is something people are talking every day. But on the other hand, it's not something that we're still applying every day. So I would tell that this total personal, not corporate, but even personal cybersecurity is kind of our future. Not say, of course, not a far one, a very close future, but still, I feel that actually the services, we got the request from our clients to do that, because we sometimes consulted, why would you use this app, or why would you use this solution for yourself? It's not safe. And then it grew into the situation where our clients told us, okay, but we don't know how to choose the best software. We don't know how to set it up. We don't have time for this, for that, for that. And remember, it's personal data. It's not something that it's not always something you can trust to even your personal assistant.
Right.
From there, all the interest and excitement came. And the further we go, I could tell you that in this months, for example, while we're still preparing the final packages for our clients, we personally changed the email provider. We already had a very safe encrypted email hosting, but the service, the technical support was so bad that we just for a second thought that if our client will have to wait for so much time to get a solution for his problem, and the responsibility will be on us, of course, then we'll just die from the embarrassment. So I think this is quite a challenge. Why it's interesting, it's quite a challenge to find the best solution, to make the best package, to test. We test every software, we test ourselves, and we literally press on every button that every software has to know exactly what it's doing, what is working, what is not working. And before it is fully tested, we will not even start selling it.
Yeah.
So
understood. And I'm thinking now just about regulation, because in some countries, for example, in Australia, law enforcement, various other parties, government organizations can extract information from service providers. Is that something that you have to work and manage with because you're dealing with global clients, or you pick certain service providers that kind of navigate that for you on your behalf?
The challenge is to find the provider that has the solution provider, the software provider that has, let's say, servers located in the countries that do protect personal data. And yes, when it comes to a choice of one or another solution for us, so we face that problem already, that question, let's say, already, is it better to choose a huge company, which is, let's say, super professional and protected and provide the service, or a small company which we know can have maybe even better level of security, but then we think that it might be more vulnerable in the situation that you said, when somebody would want to have access to that data. So this is a question I cannot give you a final answer yet to, but yes, we face already some of the things that we are in the process of making the right decisions for them.
Yeah, and I think that it's important because I think as we see now, or I certainly see, that there is more data protection laws or regulations coming in at national level and country level. I mean, we've got, unfortunately, the UK leaving the European Union, but I can see already that people are starting to talk about data residency options there, removing their data out of a European country and relocating that into the UK. And I think that affects the industry across the board. So just interested to get your perspective on that.
And just some companies won't work with some of the countries. For example, as I said, the email hosting provider that we had before, they just don't work with Russia. It's not that they don't work with Russia. Russia does not allow them to work with it. So we face a situation that if our client has Russian partners and they have emails and the Russian hosting companies, the emails are just not delivered. So yes, I think that would be another challenge to balance between all these new regulations that come into play. And then they first come into play, and only then governments start to test them and to see if it's the right thing that they brought into play. This also happens because the regulations go back and forth all the time. Yeah. So yes, this is something we'll have to find a good balance and a good solution for.
Yeah, I think just to finish off on the cybersecurity is, I take it your clients are also holding you accountable for the choices that you're making on their behalf, right? So this is why it's absolutely important for you to find the right vendors, as you mentioned, with the service level, which is important as well, so that you can manage or deal with situations where there might be a crisis case.
Yes, and it's one of the most difficult things in this area, maybe in a lot of other areas too, is trust. Because at the end of the day, every client understands that they trust us and we trust to our providers. Something very, very, very important. And this is, and we cannot just, we cannot disappoint them.
Yeah. I can understand. So Maria, when it comes to cloud services and moving from on-premise, so traditionally there's always been a case for storing documents, different files locally. Is there trust in cloud providers now? Do you trust to put that information into a cloud service to collaborate with?
My answer would be yes, though I think that local encrypted storages really the best solution, because that's something that is out in the network becomes a little bit more vulnerable. But the level of convenience, as we said, of let's say using encrypted cloud storage is so big, and we are now so used to having this opportunity to share files, to access them from any place of the world, that I think the solution, for example, Tresorit provides, is a great combination of security and convenience for most of our clients.
Fantastic. Okay, Maria, thank you very much today for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully, we'll have a chance to speak again in the near future.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Maria. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's it for today's episode of Under Control. You can find links to all of our social platforms and to our guests in the episode description. If you like the show, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. Join us in 2 weeks' time for the next episode.